Alright, hey, what's going on, guys? Logan from Mighty Reptiles here, and I know I'm sitting down, and it's a little weird, and it's not because this is a serious topic and I feel like I need to have to sit down with you guys, despite this being, incredibly serious being the topic, and it's just that I'm sick, and I wanted to weigh in on this, Saturday, Sunday, or not Saturday, but Sunday, as soon as I saw the video, I wanted to make a video on it, but I wasn't feeling good enough. And I thought I would on Monday. Come time Monday, still sick. Come time Tuesday, still sick. But the video has to come out, and it's something I need to make. It's not something I want to make, but I'm going to weigh in on it a little bit myself. It's not just going to be about Brian. It's going to be about just hate everywhere. However, a large part of it does circulate around Brian, and that's where I want to start off. So if you guys are new to the channel, I'm going to do a brief, rundown about my history with Brian, and that is that if there was no Brian Barczyk, there would be no Intelligent Design Reptiles. There would be no Logan Dietrich owning snakes. There would be no Logan Dietrich with a reptile. When all up until I was 8, I lived on a ranch pretty much until I want to say the freshman or sophomore year of high school on my mom's side, so that was just weekends. And I used to run around and go and pick up all the garter snakes, king snakes, and I loved it. It was great. And all up until one day I mistook a gopher snake for a larger king snake, and it was probably about a yearling, and it did not take kindly to me picking it up, so it bit me, and it terrified me. But I was still fascinated in reptiles, so when snake bites came out, I would still watch it. I wasn't a avid watcher. I was subscribed, but would constantly scroll past it, and I would just kind of watch them whenever I felt like it, whenever the thumbnail was cool enough to pique my interest. And one day, being my senior year of high school, I was looking for a pet. This is right when baseball was over, and I knew baseball was over forever for me. If you guys did not know, I blew out my arm not once but twice. I was a pitcher, and I was looking for a pet to really distract myself and kind of keep positive and just kind of have a buddy, and one day I was just really looking at different things. I was looking at puppies and how to train them to use the indoor pads and stuff like that. Just any knowledge I can get to really convince my dad to allow me to have a dog in the house. You can't have a cat because we're both allergic, and even though I'm allergic to them, it probably wouldn't stop me. I came across, some thumbnails that looked pretty cool, and I ended up watching them, until 4 in the morning, started watching snake bites, and I was convinced. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go to the reptile show with an open mind, the next one that's coming out here. And it was that weekend. It was actually, I was watching it Saturday night, so it was currently Sunday at 4 in the morning, and it happened to be the America's Family Pet Expo down at the LA Fairgrounds, and it was Sunday, so I came in on the last day, and I'm like, you know what, I'm probably not going to leave with a snake, but I will check it out. I have another snake up here on the table, and she's checking things out. I want to make sure she doesn't fall down, because I am going to be grabbing them as we go. And I ended up with a Mexican black king snake, and it was great. I found my passion for reptiles right then and there. Absolutely fell in love with that snake. However, it did have some issues with it. It didn't grow. It had, I don't know what it was, but it was it would eat like a monster 2 times a week and never grew. Drank, and I'd fill up the water every day, and it just never grew. So about 7 months later or so, it had passed away, and I was looking to get another snake because and I was actually looking at a ball python because I'm like, you know, the colors are really cool, and I want to see if there's one that I like. And I went out there, and that's when I ended up with Tuco at the Reptile Super Show. And this girl's escaping. Let me grab her. And that all would, and I just found my love for ball pythons right then and there. By the end of the month, I had 2 ball pythons. That's when I got Sassy, my Mojave girl. I got her at 500 grams because I planned on eventually making some super Mojaves whenever I eventually got a Mojave male. I don't know how I plan to make super Mojaves with an inchy ghost and a Mojave, but I was going to do it. And that was, none of this would have happened without Brian, because Brian is what even made me think about getting into reptiles, and I would not have discovered that I had this passion for reptiles before then. And I really do owe that to him. So coming into Tinley, I was sitting there on the plane and I was thinking about it. I'm like, because I was trying to budget myself into getting some really cool snakes from these eastern-sided breeders that I don't get to see at all the shows. I'm probably going to only see them once a year at Tinley, and I'm like, no, I'm going to take whatever amount from the budget. The first place I'm going to go to is the BHB booth, and I'm going to buy a BHB snake. I don't care what it is. I mean, I'm going to choose the one that I want, but I don't care if it fits into my breeding plans. I'll make a space for it, and if it even doesn't fit into it, you know, it's going to be a pet. I just want to have a little piece of BHB in my collection, and that's what this girl is here that I'm holding. She is a super pastel, super cinnamon lesser, so she is a super pewter with lesser on top, and she is absolutely gorgeous. And she's super healthy. She is absolutely a great eater. She's an absolute garbage disposal. She eats twice a week, and you know, she's a little chunky monkey, but she is absolutely gorgeous. And you know, I love her to bits. It's just incredible how pretty this girl is, and that this little girl is still running, but I need her for later in the video. And those people who are really going after Brian, saying, you know, he's just doing it for money, blah blah, if you talk to him for, you know, 30 seconds, you would realize the passion that he has for his animals is, you know, it's like truer than the ground that you're standing on. The passion that he has for his animals like radiates from him, and it is contagious. And that is what got me into the me plus a lot of different people into getting reptiles. I know Mike from Always Evolving Pythons was already doing bearded dragons, but he never would have gotten into ball pythons if it wasn't for Brian Barczyk. That's his own words. So this little girl's trying to escape, you know, for a 4th time this video, but it's just, I don't know if it's extremism. I don't know if it's just hearsay on top of hearsay, where somebody just hears somebody say something about Brian, and then they go and tell somebody else, who tells somebody else, who tells somebody else, whereas it may have been somewhat true, and then it just gets blown out of proportion. Like if you've ever played the game Telephone, where you start with one message and it gets passed down the line, and then it ends up being something completely different. I don't know if that's what's happening with a lot of the hate against Brian. I know that he has had incidents in the past, and I don't know if people are taking those incidents and, you know, making them into, you know, whereas he has 1,000 snakes, if one of the snakes comes in and is sick, if they're just saying, you know, all the couple thousand of his snakes are sick, and that's just obviously not the case. I would argue that not even 1% of his snakes are sick. I would think that they're in tip-top condition, just like this girl is here. If, you know, that can go both ways. I can think that they're all healthy because I have this little girl that is perfectly healthy there. And somebody who got a sick snake from him is probably thinking, you know what, all of his snakes are sick and I'm never going to get something from him again. And that's fine. You know, I mean, it's not fine that it's spreading the way it is, but, you know, there's several different ways to go about, you know, a bad experience with somebody. You don't need to go and have, you know, your little Twitter fingers, despite it being a Facebook page, where everything needs to be blown up. And I know that's a lot of the culture today. I dealt with that in retail, and it was definitely a thing where I had customers on a regular basis try to blow ordinary things out of proportions and attempt for free product or just praise from other people. And then it's the same thing when people post outrageous things on Facebook. But there's two different ways that you can go about things. It's if you have a bad experience with somebody, it's you bid with your money. You just don't go back. And you can tell your buddies that, you know, this happened. But when people are just reaming people for a bad experience that they had, and it's just a little blown out of the water, and I can't really stand behind it. It's just I firmly believe that if you really don't like your experience buying from somebody, then don't buy from them again. It's just as simple as that. You can always work something back out. You know, the snake is, you get a sick snake, the snake is sick, can I get some money back? We recently had that issue with our leopard gecko. The leopard gecko I got at the Reptilian Nation show ended up having metabolic bone disease. So his front arms are like really like gelatin. So we went and I just contacted the breeder just very calmly, and I just said, the leopard gecko I just realized has MBD. Is there anything that we can work out? My girlfriend's fallen in love with the snake. He's like, you know what, I'm glad you did it this way, versus going and slamming me on FBI being that breeders, like you review them on that Facebook page. And he's like, I'm really glad you came straight to me and not to somebody else, and I'll pay you back I'll buy you back out of the animal, but you can keep him like as your pet. And this little girl is still running away. And in the end, there was no sour taste in our mouth about the guy. And I would double check the health of an animal before I would buy it from him again, but it would not burn a bridge in between me and him just because that happened. And it's just a little out over the top, where I don't know if it's just because he has this huge following that when one small thing goes bad, it becomes a huge thing. It's that same thing with with every YouTube celebrity. If they do one thing bad, whether it's like something as small as getting pulled over by the cops, is, oh my god, the cops were really bad. It's like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. But it's just a little out of hand, and I need to refresh my camera. For some reason, my G7X only likes to record for 13 minutes at a time, so I cut it off before it cuts me off. So that's what that jump cut's for. And the next thing I was going to hit on is we are a really small community, and let's face it, we are. We're not tremendously big. We're not tremendously small, but we're not even a medium-sized community when it comes to all the cat owners out there, all the dog owners out there. The reptile community is tiny. So one person can really ruin your reputation everywhere, and it kind of sucks. And that was something that was really a worry to me when Mike talked about it on his live stream, that he was having some problems with people over Instagram, where somebody was really posting some negative things about him, trying to get stuff started and kind of get the snowball going. And it was really obvious that it was fake. But to people who dislike Mike, they'll believe anything that they hear that's negative about Mike. And everybody who stands by him was able to read through that and be like, there's no way, there is absolutely 0% chance that Mike was behind any of these things. He posted a picture of some really, really skinny snakes that were dehydrated, they were starving, and he said they were from Mike, and it was very clearly not from Mike. He shows his snakes off all the time in his videos. He's very proud of what he has, and it is very obvious that those snakes did not go to him in that condition. Or even if those were the ones that were sent to him, he can't even tell because this guy is under an alias. So the dude has no name on record, and this is his only thing that he has up, and it really sucks. And it wasn't me. It was Nicole. Nicole got the bug and said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this because he's a good person and there's no way that this happened, and she's going to try and make it right. And Nicole's only known Mike as of only 3 minutes face to face. She watches his videos with me, but she has only talked to him for probably 3 minutes. And she called BS on the spot, and she searched it up and did some research and found that this person is actually copying and pasting bad reviews and posting it everywhere under different accounts, everywhere. And if he's talking about a ball python breeder, he puts in ball python, and then if he's talking about leopard geckos, he replaces ball python with leopard gecko, and rather than saying Mike at Always Volume Pythons, it says, Steve at Tropical Gecko Paradise, whatever the name is. That came off the top of my head. I don't even know if that's an actual thing, but if you are Steve from Tropical Gecko Paradise, I'm sorry. And it is just completely just wrong. That person should probably receive some punishment of some sort to go out and try and slander somebody, and it's just not something that breeders should really have to worry about, that just this one random person who has a bad itch against them that should be able to ruin their career. Literally not even 48 hours before that, Mike had put up a video saying, he's considering selling his business and doing snakes full time, and then he gets this guy trying to ruin it. It's just not something that people should have to worry about. It's an awful thing to do to somebody. I can't even understand it. I don't know if it's jealousy, they see that he's doing great things in his collection and they wish that they can have that for themselves. And it's like Mike works 30 hours a week, or not 30 hours a week, 30 hours a day. And that sounded like an insult when I first said it. 30 hours a day, that's not an exaggeration. I know it sounds like it because there's only 24 hours in a day, but trust me, he works 30 hours a day. And he deserves every little bit that he gets. And it is just amazing to me that he's getting this hate, because he's a genuine good person, and there's no reason for this to come his way. He shouldn't have to be worrying about this. He's worked hard enough. He should be able to live off the fruits of his labor and do what he enjoys for the rest of his life, regardless of what somebody on Instagram says about him trying to ruin it. So it's amazing. And that's the same thing everywhere, where people shouldn't have to worry about one voice ruining everything. And it's something that is just crazy. And then, so we've also had our own, I'm going to set this girl down, but we've had our own little doses of hate, and that's why I have this little girl out here. This is our black pastel pied that came from the second of the panda clutches. And I'm not going to lie, we received a lot of flack when it came to those clutches. People were genuinely upset that we did the black pastel to black pastel pairing, and it was weird because I noticed that when we announced the clutches, we got a lot of praise for it, but when the results came back around and we opened the eggs, we had a lot of praise for it, and then when it came time to update people, we got a lot of negative of people getting mad at us. And we had two clutches, and they were a week and a half apart. I believe they were 11 days apart. And what are we supposed to do with those eggs now that the first ones didn't turn out well? And I had some people on the second clutch cutting video going after me and messaging me saying, you should have dumped those eggs, you should have thrown them in the trash as soon as those first ones happened. Like I wasn't supposed to give these guys a even chance to be able to survive. And this little girl, perfectly healthy, and she is absolutely beautiful. My own personal opinion, I think she's the most gorgeous black pastel pied I've even seen on the internet. Whereas black pastels typically have that really dark saddles with a really bright tail. This little girl is all bright saddles, except for her head where she really shows her black pastel, and I think she's just gorgeous. She's not as low white of a pied. She's about a 70-30. Most black pastel gened pieds, including pandas, typically only have 1 or 2 spots. This girl has 7 spots. And it just, was beyond me that people who say they have this passion for animals and animal life, telling me that I shouldn't have even given those little ones a chance. And I still have those 2 kinked babies up there doing very well. One likes to steal the other one's food and is very much thriving, and they're going to live, long, healthy lives just like everybody else in this room, except for they're just not going to breed. They're just going to be strictly pets. And it's just, there's a lot of hate where people's passion really, gets in the way and like busts through the filter. And it's just something that I'm still getting used to. The thumbs down button is always around, and like we always have our our 5 per video, and we know that they're coming, so it really doesn't bother us because we see the support and we see the 100 plus that we get per video, and that's what really swings it around, because that we know that just because we have haters, it's not like we only see the haters. We generally block out the haters and like to focus on positives. That's just who we are. We don't like to look at just negatives. We may balance some things out and say, is the positive really worth the negative? And so far we just kind of keep pushing through. But alright, so the G7X actually died right as I moved on to the final point, and so this is being filmed current day. I was actually filming that last part at probably about 3:30 in the morning last night. And so my final point is actually, with Facebook pages, or not Facebook pages, Facebook groups, and I'm in probably 10, 12 different reptile groups on Facebook, and there are some where it's just a little ridiculous, where it's just drama where drama doesn't need to be, because we have these groups to share our joys with a hobby. Somebody's first clutch or something cute that their snake was doing, and they snagged a picture of it and they wanted to share it. And or for people who are new, to ask people who are more experienced what their what their opinion is for how they should go about things. And one thing I've seen is that people on Facebook do not like to agree to disagree on things. When it comes to advice giving on there, I see people fighting with each other, and somebody's asking if they should have a tank or a tub, and then one person says they need a tub because it's like snakes are solitary animals, they like to be in closed and confined spaces. And then another person comes in there, how dare you say put them in a tub when you're taking all this space that you could be that they could have away. It's like, how dare you confine them? And people just can't seem to lay out the pros and cons and letting people make decisions for themselves. It's just a little much, whereas this could be somebody's first impression of the reptile community, and that can really leave a bad taste in your mouth. And like I said before, we're trying to grow. We're not trying to, the reptile community isn't supposed to be something that is, you have to be super qualified to get in here. It's like, guess what? You have a love for reptiles and you want to keep them, and you want to, you want the best for them. Then you're then you can be a part of the reptile community. It's not like this, like there's no initiation involved to get into the reptile community. We're just trying to grow. If you have a passion for reptiles, then you can be a part of the community. That's just how it is. And it would really suck if there was somebody who had a genuine, connection to reptiles, where they had just have a passion for it, just the same way that you and I have passions for reptiles, and some interaction, whether it be with other breeders, other keepers, or anything like that, just leave such a bad taste in their mouth that it just ruins the entire, fun and enjoyment that they can get out of keeping animals, because they are worried about, person A said this, but person B said this, and now they have this conundrum that they're going through, where they can't decide. It's always in the back of their mind, was the other person right, or am I doing the right thing anymore? Whereas it's just, you just lay it out there for them, be like, here's the pros and cons, you can carve your own path, because for some reason we can all agree that there is no golden path, nobody knows everything, but as soon as we hit those Facebook groups, how dare you say that I'm wrong, or how dare you have a different opinion than me, and I will fisticuff you to death, and meet me outside if you put your animals in tubs. And it's just the people have a lot of mixed things for they have a passion for the animals, but they're just it's just a little extra when it comes to their opinions about how they're kept, and it's just a little extreme at times, and it's just a little weird. So it's something that always worries me in terms of expanding everything, because when you go and you see posts about people just slamming other people, it's just something that's a little rough, because people may want to come into the reptile community, they're excited to work with snakes, but they really don't want to deal with everybody else and everybody else's drama, and that's just something that could potentially keep people out, and it's something that would suck, because I would, like I said, when I sell snakes to people, first question to them is not what morph are you looking for or whatever, it's is this a pet or is this a breeder, because if somebody's looking for a pet only and this is their first one, I'm not going to give them like my firefly het clown that you guys saw snip at me probably 20 plus times in the minute that it was on screen, because I would hate if somebody's first experience just ruined what could be great the entire time, and it's just one of those things where we have to remember that it's not just us, where we know that we aren't going anywhere and we can have our own little spouts, but our own little not spouts, what I mean, we can have our own little like bickering sessions, and I still feel like I don't know the word, but we can have our own little issues between each other at times, but it's got to be like siblings, where you just go on, forget about it, and not hold the grudge, unfortunately, like some people on the pages do. And it is just a little just me messing up that word derailed me entirely, but it's just one thing to go and have for us breeders who we know we aren't going anywhere, this is what we're going to be doing and we're committed to doing it, but it's another thing when it's the new keeper involved, where somebody's just looking for advice and they heard this and that, and they're just trying to get people with experience as for if what they read or what they were told was right, and they're asking for other opinions, and then people just smash them. And it's just, there's different ways to go about it, and unfortunately I just see a lot of people taking the insult route, whether somebody's like, here's my first snake, and I set it up to Petco person standards. It's like, here's my normal ball python that I got from there, and they have the red light, and they have everything, and then they're on like aspen shavings or something like that, and they have the wood log. And not saying that there's technically anything wrong with aspen shavings or red light, but there are people out there who are for it, people who are out there against it. I'm personally a big proprietor for belly heat myself, so I would just tell them, like, I would advise belly heat, just so it helps them digest, but I'm not going to be there, how dare you use a red light to heat your animals, don't you know that they need this, that, and the other. It's just, I'm just going to be calm with them, and there's no reason for us to get heated over it. I'm just going to go and I'm going to give my thoughts that they were asking for, but I'm not going to go and berate their setup. So yeah, before I ramble any further, I'm sorry if I ruffled a few feathers. This is, just like I said, a video that I felt needed to be made, because recently it's gotten really bad. Like, Nicole has been in several leopard gecko groups. As you guys know, we have 5 leopard geckos. She's starting to grow her own collection. Seeing how much enjoyment I get out of my snakes, she gets the same thing out of leopard geckos, and makes me really happy to actually see that she is enjoying reptiles and getting into it herself. constantly sending me pictures, but she's been in a few groups where they have been of a great help to her. There's a lot of non-drama groups that she was in, and I'm kind of jealous of that. But when the Brian Barczyk thing happened, there was admins on her page, her non-drama group page, that was saying, they put up a post and they pinned it. So it was the first thing everybody sees when they went into the group page, and they said, we don't like Brian. I'm like, the admin is speaking for the group. They're like, we do not like Brian. If you're here to defend him, I am going to delete your comments. And there was nothing but negativity on there, because within 5 minutes of a positive thing being commented down there, they'd remove it. So Nicole just went up and commented. She's like, what happened to this being a non-drama group? Like, this just isn't right. And they're like, and then their response to her was, you know where the door is? And she just went and left. So it's just rough, because now she's sitting back and she's like, man, all these people that were really nice are also not very nice. So that's just something that happened recently. And I just say this because I want it for the better. I want the reptile community to grow and prosper. This is what I want to do, and I don't want just us having small, little fights with each other to stop me from being able to take this hobby that I have such a passion for and stop it from becoming a career later on, because this is truly what I like to do. That I have a connection with each and every single one of my snakes. I know all their personality. I know exactly how each and every single one of them feeds, despite the fact that there's 200 plus in here. I know which ones are mousers. I know which ones prefer rats. I even know which ones like hairless rats. And I know how much each one will eat, and I can just tell you everything about every single animal in here without a doubt. I can tell you where in its tub it likes to sit. I can tell you like all the different conditions, how it is to handle, and then I can go through every single tub and let you know that. I have a genuine connection with all my snakes, and I want this to become a thing that I can do for the rest of my life if possible, because this is something that I genuinely enjoy doing. And frankly, I don't want to do a whole 9 to 5. I understand that if it comes to that and it's something I need to do to provide, then that's what I'm going to do. But it's kind of normal, and normal's boring, and I don't want to be boring, and this is what I want to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm not going to do the standard outro. You guys know the giveaway is coming up on Friday, so if you haven't seen it, go ahead and go back to that video and enter. We're giving away a free female ball python, and it's beautiful. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and just stay positive. Don't let the negativity get to you guys, and speak up whenever you see these things going on, because if we let the negativity be the main voice, then the reptile community will always be known as a negative community, and that's not what we need. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.